What's up, Ego Hackers? Welcome to the CS Joseph Podcast. Today's question: should an ISTP be more careful in martial arts? This is a very peculiar question, but I think I kind of actually figured out why this question was asked. Oftentimes I'm asked questions by Acolyte members, so a lot of these videos come from questions that the Acolyte members ask. csjoseph.life/members, become a journeyman, then upgrade your account to Acolyte, or csjoseph.life/portal, go to the Acolyte page, and you can upgrade your account from there if you're already a journeyman. But the point is, they get to ask one question a month, which gets a visual response that's posted on YouTube or on the podcast so that everybody can gain the benefit, which, why not? I mean, shouldn't everyone have access to the knowledge? So should ISTPs be more careful in martial arts? That is an insanely good question. This is an extroverted feeling inferior question combined with extroverted sensing parent. Now, the more responsible extroverted sensing parent is, the less likely it is that it's really going to be necessary for them to be careful, because extroverted sensing parent, the more responsible it is, naturally, the more careful it is. A lot of people just don't get this. They just don't understand that concept. Parent functions, in terms of the ego functions, it's like the last function to develop within the ego. So the younger an ISTP is, the more, careless they are, And that too can be a problem. I'm going to try to adjust my position here because the wind is a little ridiculous. There's one of my favorite trees. Let's go check out that tree over there. So, yeah, this continues to be a big deal and a big problem over time. So, extroverted sensing parent, it takes a while for it to develop. It actually starts, the development process in a gradual yet meaningful way, probably closer to, it starts its development process when they hit adolescence. But sometimes it could take a decade or more to actually get fully developed. And this can end up causing a lot of issues over time. So one of them is, carelessness. And when an ISTP is careless, it basically, their inner child just kind of gets out of control to a point. It gets out of control such that they end up, using their freedom, the freedom that's provided through their introvert intuition child with their decision making. And then as a result of that freedom being the way that, it is, it creates extroverted sensing related consequences or a mess for other people to clean up. Or in some cases, it can actually injure other people. And that is the primary purpose as to why this question was asked. How can I, as an ISTP, should I be more careful when I'm doing martial arts, because I don't want to injure my instructor. I don't want to injure my sparring partner. So they are, in effect, correct to ask this question. But the difference is that the only people that need advice in this area are the ISTPs with underdeveloped SE parent. If your SE parent is actually really developed, as in you're older, if you're in your 40s, for example, chances are it's developed by then, and you're not turning it off consistently. Because a parent function, it's like most parents. When dealing with children, especially the NI child, it gets really tired and then it just turns off, and then the child is free to go start looping, or as they say in the OPS community, jumping, with the introverted thinking hero. And it's like a free-for-all. It just turns into a freaking free-for-all, right? Well, to avoid that free-for-all, the parents got to get in the way and prevent the child and the hero from hanging out, and the parents got to protect the child from basically creating huge messes that itself is going to have to clean up later, because they'll make decisions while being completely unaware of consequences because of extrovert intuition trickster, which is lack of awareness of consequences. And then all of a sudden, it completely blows up in their face. And then they're not going to be able to I mean, relationships could end. They could potentially be kicked out of, their martial arts gym or dojo where their training is at, or who knows, like injury could happen. And what if it's permanent, right? So should an ISTP be more careful? Well, how developed is their parent function? That's the real question. How developed is the parent function so that it could be prevented, right? What's going to happen? So if the parent function is being developed, then there's not really a big issue. But then again, you're asking now, well, how is it developed, Mr. C.S. Joseph? Well, the answer is self-discipline. They need to have more self-discipline, more routine, right? The more routine and the more practice they get, the more their extroverted sensing parent becomes responsible, because this is how cognitive orbit works. If they focus on developing their introverted sensing critic in terms of their memory, their muscle memory, and practice with all of that in mind, what's going to end up happening is that they will have an opportunity to have a more responsible extroverted sensing parent, which means they will be naturally careful, especially in a martial arts situation, right? The other thing is they're already so afraid of being unaccepted or not liked by other people, especially in a martial arts setting, that it's like, hey, I don't want to have any risk of causing injury to other people because I'm not going to be liked anymore. No one's going to like me there, and no one's going to want me there. It's just going to blow up in my face. So I should be more careful, right? Well, here's the flip side of this. When your extroverted sensing parent is responsible, you start to realize that some of the other students that are at the martial arts gym with you, they all signed paperwork, release forms saying that injury can happen. And if that happens, well, then it happens. Sure, you as an individual have to be more responsible in terms of what you yourself are bringing to the table. Are you being careful enough with a developed extroverted sensing parent? Is it being responsible as a parent? Or is it being irresponsible and acting more like a teenager, right? There's all these different ways to consider, what's actually happening there. So based on that, I highly recommend the ISTP focuses on self-discipline, but does not concern themselves so much with the extroverted feeling inferior part. If someone doesn't like you for potentially injuring them, they probably shouldn't have signed the paperwork. It's kind of on them. Yes, it is your responsibility to be more careful in a martial arts situation, and you can make yourself more careful by developing your introverted sensing critic, so that translates into a more responsible, or a parent function that becomes more responsible over time. Its level of responsibility ends up increasing, instead of just being a typical irresponsible extroverted sensing parent like a SE teenager would have, like at a very young ISTP. You see what I'm saying? So those are all the different dynamics that an ISTP would just have to be aware of when they're in the context of a martial arts gym. But here's the thing though, it's not just a martial arts gym that this applies. This actually applies in every single area of the ISTP's life. And it's especially difficult for a subconscious focused ISTP who's focused, they're ENFJ focused, they're going out of the way to be this mentor, this teacher to other people. But if they lack self-discipline, then the way that they teach could also be dangerous, and they could be increasing the danger to their students. Developing the shadow side of their mind, especially their introverted sensing critic, is absolutely critical because it allows them to be more careful. Their level of care and their carefulness is increased, especially in potentially dangerous situations that they are teaching. So what this does is this actually creates a nice synergy between their shadow side of their mind, which is their ESTJ side, their unconscious, as well as their ENFJ side, which is their subconscious. And then both of those sides get to be applied in a teaching scenario or an instruction scenario where they are likely becoming or already are a martial arts instructor. So these things are extremely key to the success of any ISTP in any situation. Again, ISTPs can't really reach personal happiness until they actually allow themselves and actually become good or great teachers, because they're part of the mind temple. The mind temple is all about learning and education, etc. And in order to have that, it's super critical. It's super critical that they don't just focus on being the fun teacher, but they're also the teacher that is really disciplined. one of my Krav Maga instructors, for example, he's an ISTP, and he actually is very shadow focused, and he's trying really hard, as an instructor to become a funner instructor. And sometimes we can have a lot of fun in his class, but then when that happens, people get hurt. And oftentimes I've watched him dial it back and get a lot, just increase his level of seriousness, level of safety and discipline, and disciplining the class consistently as per his SI critic in order to make sure that safety is being maintained. A proper ISTP teacher would know that safety comes first, followed by fun. Whereas, someone who is really ENFJ focused that does not have their ESTJ side focused as an ISTP, well, they end up sacrificing safety for the sake of fun, which could end up terminating the entire learning experience and, quite frankly, injuring students and anyone else as a result. So not exactly a good position to be in, and I don't recommend that for ISTPs. So the bottom line is, should an ISTP be careful in a martial arts situation? I think the obvious answer is yes, but really how they can be more careful is by making sure that they are being safe and observing all safety standards and having safety rituals, for example, and safety preparation with their introverted sensing critic, because via cognitive orbit, that will translate directly to the extroverted sensing parent, and it will make that parent function more responsible over time. That way, the learning experience for everybody in the classroom, including the ISTP, and even if the ISTP ends up being the instructor, it's better. It's better in almost every way. Safety is not compromised, but fun is also not compromised either, and it becomes a really healthy balance between ESTJ unconscious and ENFJ subconscious, be it whether or not the ISTP is the student or the teacher. All of that directly applies. So anyway, that should answer that question. So thanks for watching and listening, folks. Please like or subscribe. We need more likes. We need more subscriptions. And leave a comment below, because I watch I read all of the comments. May not respond. And by the way, guys, if I respond to a comment, if I reply to it, if you reply back to my reply, it doesn't even show up in my feed. So you're gonna have to create a whole new comment afterwards, then I'll reply that. Because if I do reply, it's only one reply at a time, one reply per comment, basically. I don't reply to strings, so just keep that in mind. So anyway, folks, thanks for watching and listening, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.